Welcome to Torlando on Business. I am your host, Torlando. I'm so glad to be with you today. I'm excited for today's show. We are getting into a rhythm. We are finding our groove. Speaking of groove, I still got this groove going. Yeah. I got Zach with me, my producer from Hyper Focus Art. Say what up, Zach.
What up?
Man of few words. No, I'm glad to have Zach with me on the show today. And, this time of year, I think it's so important to discuss marketing. That's what we need right now, right? We need leads, and headed into spring where people have got their tax returns coming up. They've got their, they've recovered from Christmas spending. And they're looking towards how am I gonna enjoy my house more? How am I gonna get this thing ready to get up onto the market? How am I going to utilize my greatest asset? Like how are you gonna do this, right? And so today it's a great time to talk about that topic in particular. Okay, so we're gonna get into it now. One thing that I've noticed over the past year, and Zach, I'm going to bring you into this conversation, is that have you ever heard the book Who Moved My Cheese?
No.
All right. So this book, I read it probably like in the 8th or 9th grade or something like that. My mom gave it to me. It was this little, I don't know if it's a self-help book, but it's like one of those classics, right? And the idea is that there are these gnomes inside of a maze, right? And it's not actually a kid's book is the thing about it, okay? There's these gnomes that are in this maze, and there is cheese at the end of the maze. And every day they go to they follow the same route, and they go and eat the cheese, right? Mm-hmm. And then there are also these mice that are doing the same thing. So every day, these gnomes and these mice, they go and eat the cheese. And then one day, the cheese is gone. And, that's the name of the book, right? Who Moved My Cheese? Well, the mice, they just ran around and found, they just went and found new cheese. The gnomes, they kept going back to the same spot day after day after day, expecting it to come back, and it never did. So, they died. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember if that's what happened. But, that the point is that when external factors change, do you keep trying to do the same thing over and over, expecting the old results? Or do you adapt and do you shift? Mm-hmm. And do you know what I mean? Do you pivot, right? Do you find another way? And so, I'm looking at this last year, and I'm thinking, man, a lot of these marketing strategies that had worked in years past, pouring money into Facebook ads, pouring money into Google ads, there was a big shift. And I talked to several people, not just one or two people. I talked to several people who found that they were spending the same amount of money and getting horrible results. They weren't able to repeat what they had been repeating in years prior. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of reasons for that, why 2024 in particular was a rough year, in my opinion, for Facebook ads, or digital ads in general. I mean, there's the advent of AI that disrupted a lot of things. It was an election year. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. If you have not just presidential candidates pouring money into Facebook campaigns, but you have senators and local elections. I mean, that drives up the cost. There's no question that had an impact on it, and so things were different. And when I talk to the people who were kind of in that like gnome state of, we just gotta pour more money on it. Yeah, just keep trying. You look at their CAC, which is the customer acquisition cost, the amount of money it takes to acquire a customer it was through the roof. They were hardly making any profit on those jobs at all.
To generate those leads.
Exactly, right? Because I think one of the things that bugs me about agencies, to be honest, is that they focus on generating the lead. They talk about volume of leads. They talk about the low cost per lead. But if it doesn't turn into a job,
it's not even worth that amount of money.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything, because if you get 50 leads, but only one converts into a job, you didn't make any money.
No.
You spent all kinds of money on marketing, didn't make a dime, right? So, the thing is again, I poured into the analytics of multiple companies, not just one, multiple companies, where we isolated and said, buddy, you're not making money on these ads. Like, you are paying money to lose money. That's what's happening. People talk about, oh, you gotta spend money to make money. No, they're spending money to lose money. That's what was happening. And so something's got to give, right? Something's got to give. We can get a lot of leads through the door, but if they don't turn into jobs, then they're not real leads.
Yeah,
and you're just wasting your time.
It's just people. It's not a lead.
Yeah, it's just people, And you get people complaining, oh, there's so many tire kickers, oh, there's, all these people who don't want to pay, money for services. They only want the cheap.
You're reaching the wrong people.
Exactly.
That's not it's, and I understand that people will get caught up in like, oh, this thing isn't working. But sometimes it's not even that. It's just like, you're not working it the right way.
Right. And so, you constantly get this kind of back and forth between salespeople, companies, agencies, marketers. Well, the lead wasn't qualified. Well, you're not following up enough. Well, this, well, that.
It's your fault.
Everyone wants to point the finger, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that when times change, you have to adjust. That's just the bottom line. And so in my business, I kind of, I'm not going to say that I'm some oracle here, but what I did understand was that, hey, I'm reading the tea leaves here, and what I don't want is to, I don't want to waste a bunch of money on ads that aren't going to serve me well.
No.
And that's not to say that that this year is going to be like, oh, don't spend money on Facebook. Don't. I mean, you might, just based off of what, if you don't believe in what Mark Zuckerberg is doing.
No. Or Elon Musk, he's ruined Twitter as a platform to be an ad spend.
Right. So you have to pay attention to those things. But what I'm not going to say is, I don't know going forward, is it a bad investment? I don't know that much. But what I do know is that you need to have more, you can't have all your eggs in one basket, right? And that's where, on my part, I went with more of a business development strategy. I know people who are very successful with business development. For me, business development was a word that I didn't quite understand what it was until I was like a year or two into doing it, and then somebody said, "Oh, that's business development." I said, "Oh,
there's a word for it.
There's a word for what I've been doing." But if you're like an old school salesperson, or you've worked in corporate, you know what it is. But it's a term that doesn't hit the home services industry very much. It's not super popular as a word. And so some of our listeners, some small business owners might be new to that term, business development. But basically what it is, it's you could call it personal selling. You could call it, networking is encompassed in that. It's any kind of like direct person-to-person type of, strategy. It kind of hovers, it straddles sales and marketing, where, as an individual contributor, you are spreading awareness of the business while you are trying to attract sales. Yeah. And I think a combination of marketing and business development is what's needed now, with less emphasis on direct lead gen from your digital and social channels. I think the future in digital and social is brand awareness, with a combination of business development. But, what do I know? So that's where I'm at. We have a guest.
Oh, we do. They've been waiting for us.
Yeah. We do. And he's a fellow paint contractor, lives up in the Indianapolis area. Tonight he's going to be rooting against my Hoosiers. I am not, we're going to stay out of sports. We're going to stay out of politics. And what's the third one they say you can't debate religion? We're going to stay out of those three. We're going to talk business. But Jason with Heritage Painting up in Indianapolis, we're going to bring him on the show. So good to have this guy. I think we need to get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. Let's bring on Jason to the show. Hey, Jason, welcome to Torlando on Business. How's it going, my friend?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So Jason, you're a business owner in the Indianapolis area. You have a good sized service area. Right now, I'm looking at the background here. There's drapes and vehicles and a warehouse. Where are you?
We are in opening day, setup day at the Indianapolis State Fairgrounds, and you can see here our guys have set up the floor. You can see our Heritage Hank back there, setting up our booth. Kicks off on Friday morning, and it's a 10-day show. So we're excited. This is our second year, actually. We don't have a lot of data around this show exactly, but we've done other shows, and so that we have better data on. So.
Yeah, good. So what better way to have this conversation than, almost a pure business development play, a good old fashioned home show. Jason, tell us a little bit about, tell us your story. You've been in business for a little while. Tell us where that came from and what those first couple of years looked like.
Yeah, well, I'll start. So, I started painting in middle school and high school, and just fell in love with the craft. Didn't know, would I do that for a long period of time. Studied for the ministry, we won't talk church though, but studied for the ministry. Did that I was at two different churches, worked there for a while. Then after I left the church in 2002, worked painting for a period of time, did mostly new construction. So I had 8 contractors that I chased them and they would send me stuff. And so that was, that world, and did that for about 5 years. For about 4 years. And then in 2009, I started Heritage, and I said to myself, when I go back to Heritage, I'm not ever doing new construction ever again. Or when I go back to painting, I'm never doing new construction again. So So what did that mean? Repaints, right? Lots of clients, lots of individuals. And so, but it was me by myself and a couple painters. And so we started slowly growing, and I just, I'm not afraid of the camera. I'm not afraid of people. I like to talk to a tree sometimes, yep. And it might talk back to me. So fortunately, God blessed me with that. And so I just got out and started doing it, right? And so I didn't really know digital marketing maybe scared me some, honestly. And so I was very old school and did a lot of business development. So 2009 till 2012, we were a company that was doing about $350,000 a year annually, and mm-hmm. So smaller company. And then in 2018, the year before I merged with my business partner, we did 1.7, and I was doing all the business development. I was doing all the sales. I was doing all the project management. And but that had years of me knowing lots of people working in the custom home industry. So I had a backlog of people, right, that I knew. Right. And so you can't do this on your own. And it takes business development, truly takes time. And it takes you investing yourself and sinking yourself into it. And so that's what I did. And I think that year we spent $12,000 in marketing, and most of that money was marketing dollars for T-shirts. So, right. Or maybe some yard signs, So it wasn't, snail mail or much of anything other than that.
Yeah, I mean that's truly impressive, and to me it's indicative of like, okay, this is what hustle looks like. This is what sowing seeds, building relationships, just effort. This is what effort looks like.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies out here, they dream of a $1.7 million business, and they're pouring money into Angie leads. They're pouring money into Google, pouring money into Facebook, pouring money into mailers. You're doing it with handshakes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, right?
Yeah. And that predominantly, I have a really good friend in the Indianapolis market that did commercial, and I actually stayed away from commercial mainly because of that. So you're doing that with $5,000, $7,000 jobs, $300 jobs.
Yeah,
You're not doing that with, that last year I did have a couple big neighborhoods that were from kind of association. So I'm correcting myself
sure.
in that, or just remembering. So, yeah.
So Jason, define business development. Like in your words, what is business development?
Yeah, so you said it. It's kind of a sweat equity. Uh, it's an investment of yourself. I like to say the words client care. It's client care. It's taking care of your clients. It's um, and there's a lot of ways to do that, right? I mean, it's simple ways. And I mentioned to you earlier, before we got on here, I love the book Giftology and the principles in that book with John Ruhlin wrote. Um, if you haven't read it, it's worth the read. I need to read the book you mentioned, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah,
But
you'll read it in a weekend. It's so short.
sweet. Those are my reads. But yeah, just taking care of people. Yesterday, I visited 3 realtor offices and handed out chip clips with a business card and free home show tickets, all fastened together. Um, and then I stepped over to a couple commercial general contracting offices and did the same, and just cared about what they were talking about. Right. I stepped after that. I went to a mortgage company and connected with those people. So it's literally just finding a route. It's also talking to the guy at Sherwin-Williams. Not just the manager,
Mm-hmm.
not the assistant manager, but the key holder, right? It's
Yeah.
making sure your business cards are in the rack all the time. It's handing a business card to the 17-year-old kid. I literally drove in. Where was I at yesterday? Oh, I drove through Crew Car Wash to get my car washed. And there's a young
Yeah.
man who's scanning and kind of marking on your window. I roll my window down. I hand him a business card. I said, "Hey, I know your parents probably own a house. Would you please give them this card?" That's business development. And it's like they might not own a house because they're 17, 18, but they might come to work for you.
Yeah.
And they have a mom and a dad and a grandma and grandpa who probably own a house or something, and so they can be. And so all of those things matter. And I think even one of the, and this is a combination between business development and marketing, and that is our snail mail newsletter that we send out. It's literally just something we send to our clients. So your best place to do business development that is the hottest is in your own client database, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's, at any point that I've looked into my own data, or if I've looked into if I've gotten into the CRM of other companies, and I look at the source of their leads, at least half typically is coming from repeat customer and referral,
yep,
and that's generally with them doing nothing,
yep,
right? Like most companies don't do anything with their past customers. They don't
yep,
do anything other than, a good job, and half of the business is coming from those customers.
yep,
Imagine what would happen if you actually sent them an email, like you
yep,
said, send out a newsletter, like actually gave them attention. Imagine what would happen if you just
yep.
did that.
Yep. one of the things, Torlando, we're at the home show here in February, where there's another home show just up the road. And then in April, we're hosting our own home show in Kokomo, which I'm really excited about. And so those vendors, right, you come to a home show, connect with those vendors and build a relationship with them, put them in your phone, get in their phone, and then touch base with them, reach out to them, talk to them, engage, build a relationship with them, shoot them a funny meme or something later, throughout the day. And then next thing you know, they become a referring person for you. That's self-generation, right? And so that activity, so home shows, so much self-generation in a home show as well. And I think we're talking about the client that we might work for, but there's also, and I love, I'm sure you know Tommy Mello. Tommy Mello talks about, and he's the first one to honestly put these words in my head about 6 years ago. It's like, there's an internal client, right? We need our internal clients. You have your external client, who we're painting for, but then you have an internal client. You have to market for those. You have to self-generate for those, right? How do you get those quality people coming to work for you? You find them.
Yeah. Right now, I look at where my leads are coming from, and part of this is just it's because it's where I'm putting my time and energy, and where I'm, maybe more specifically not putting my money, right? But I look at the last batch of leads that have come in, a realtor referral. I found this realtor, did a little digging on Google, found a list of realtors, started sending her emails, introducing myself to her, put her on our email marketing list, which we just do color features. That's all we do. We just highlight different paint colors. And she emails me, oh, I love you. I don't know how I got on your email list, but I love it. I love all the colors. They're very inspiring. We run into each other at a function. I'm a big BNI guy. We do BNI. Ran into her at a BNI function. Say, hey, let's go grab lunch. Let's talk about how we can help each other's business in 2025. We do lunch. It's a great conversation. A handful of weeks later, hey, I've got a house I want you to look at, right? It's monumentally easy. Another one I got, it was another realtor. She was in some Facebook group. She tagged me for somebody looking for a painter. I reached out to that person, got a lead, did a proposal. Another one, this is one of my favorites that I like doing, especially when it's not so cold outside. It's a little bit cold, so I it's easy for me to, to stay inside in the winter. But this one I love. I'll go on Zillow and I'll look up houses that have sold within the last 12 months. And then, taking your giftology idea, I go to that house, hand them a color pamphlet, hand them my business card, introduce myself, and say, hey, when you're ready to make this place your own, give me a call.
Yep.
I got a call over the weekend. Hey,
Yep.
you came to my house. We're ready to
Love
go on some
that.
cabinets.
I love that. And so keep it really simple, right? Don't overcomplicate it. And just yesterday, I had our color consultant order me. So Kurt Sherwin's doing the color, rather than the color of the year, they're doing like a whole collage of colors. What are you?
Right. Yeah. It's a color capsule is what they're calling it.
Color capsule. And so the color capsule, I ordered 12 of each one of those color capsules to come to our office because they send them to you for free, right? And so I'm going to cut them up and I'm going to kind of use them as a Post-it note. So when I go to those locations later, I'm going to, and then yesterday I got on ChatGPT and I said, all right, ChatGPT, tell me 4-word phrases that say you are awesome. Something like that. I can't remember the exact command. And I have now a list of like 45.
Hey, Jason, back it up. That the phone call cut the audio out.
Yeah. So I took those about 45 phrases, and I'm gonna write on those color swatches the little phrase like, and I got a little white marker, you're incredible, or you're just unstoppable, something like that, and just leave it behind. That takes work. That takes sweat equity. The thing I will say though is you got to be able to track this. And one thing that I'm really proud of in the work that our team has put into is our average closure rate for the leads in general is about 43% closure rate, right? When we do a self-generation, it goes up to about, last year was up to 94% closure rate. And especially if it's a repeat client, it's just through the roof. And so just help yourself. And, you were talking about, before I came on, you were talking about all the things that support the sale, right? Yesterday, so I have about 100 people in a top tier client list that I have, right? And then that's growing and that's building because I have a massive goal I told you about the other day that I'm trying to accomplish this year. And so I sent
Feel free to share that if you want to. You can keep it close to your chest, but I liked it.
Yeah. So I sent a piece of value, right, to all 100 of those people. And it was a blog, or not a blog, but a podcast that was sent to me. And incredible podcast. And I'd be willing to, I don't know if I shared it with you or not.
I don't think so.
I'll share it with you when we get done. But it's, just sending something that says, hey, I'm thinking of you. And then now you're top of mind for that 10 seconds at least, right? And or whatever it is. And then, I'll probably take a selfie with our booth here and then send that later today to those people just to say, hey, you need tickets to the home show, let me know. I got you, right? And so doing those things periodically is just building relationships and caring about people and, all of the above. So the next thing you know, you're top of mind. So my goal,
exactly.
Here's my goal. Lay it out for you, for the audience,
please.
Whoever cares. And if you want to, don't hate me, just cheer me. So I said I did 1.7 in 2018 on $12,000 of marketing. I want to do $3 million in 2025 on all being self-generated. So that's a huge goal. I'm about 30,000 behind. We have a great sales team. And so, they're doing their own self-generation. I'm different than you are in regards to BNI. I'm not a big fan of BNI just because of, and not to do anything with BNI specifically. Like, I just don't want to invest that 4 hours of time like that. And I didn't have the freedom to invest it like that. I have, you might have other things going on. We're blessed to have a team of people that are helping us do all of the things, but I want to, I'll spend it doing differently. So,
yeah, it's something that takes time. I think, for me, it's this built-in, like, mandated thing that I have to make sure that I'm showing up, every week, and I mean, quite frankly, I get business from it, so
Yep.
it's worth it to me. But
Yep.
I think that if you're a self-starter and you can get out there and you can really be disciplined, because I think that's the main difference between people who are great at business development and people who say, can't I just like pay for a bunch of leads? It's that self-discipline to get out there, like you said, come up with a route, get face to face with somebody and introduce yourself. That's nerve-wracking because, I'll tell you what, I went to a complex, like a little business complex, last year. And I started, going into each of the places. There was a real estate office, there was a eye care center, a law office, and there was a mortgage lender. And I went into that mortgage lender, and they basically shooed me out.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like, what's going on here? Give our audience some like practical like activities that we can do, because
Yep.
like I said, I'm bought into business development. I like it. It takes a lot of effort. It takes overcoming some initial fears. But in terms of like that face to face, networking. I mean, you're at a home show. You talked about going into offices. What are activities that we can do to just jumpstart our business development activity?
I love this conversation. So first of all, I would start at home in the mirror. and just look in the mirror and just smile. And anytime we're talking about talking to people, here's the dumbest thing. Like literally when I'm going to go take a picture, I'll like stretch my mouth. So I can get my mouth, and when I'm doing public speaking, I'll lift my arms up so that I don't just stand like this, right? And I'm using my arms and using my hands. So in other words, start with a smile. Keep it simple. You're going to walk across the booth, look at the person. Hey, put your hand out, shake it, look in the eye. Start with a smile. You're going to make a phone call. Literally start smiling before you dial the phone or before they answer the phone. Hey, Barry, how are you? You're going to sound so much better. Okay, so start with a smile. Second of all, do anything that's free. Use social media to the nth degree so it's free and exhaust the heck out of it, right? And so you have so much content. Content is everywhere. We're putting together a home show. My guy right here, project manager, he is building a video right now because I created this thing called NIL for trades, right? Name, image, and likeness for trades.
Yeah.
So he's getting paid $10 a week to create a video. And he's taking a video. Now so what can you do, right? Set your camera up, buy a little tripod, and take a video of you setting up the stage, time lapse it, post it on Facebook, text it to your top 100 people, right? That just takes a little bit of creativity. Share a piece of value to them, content. Book their birthdays somehow, right? Tell them that hey, happy birthday on Facebook. Facebook feeds them to you. Like, just wish them happy birthday, and when they respond back with, something like that. So, it's sweat equity. So it's just caring about people, thinking about people. Get your head out from underneath the rock and start paying attention to the things around you. And that's hard to do when you're really deep in the trenches with operations or anything. But even still, when you're out in the field and you're managing the job, shoot a little video of the guys doing whatever, spraying, take a picture of the paintbrush sitting on the side of the bucket, and that's really cool art, right?
Yeah, totally.
And then text that off to those, that list of 100 that you made. Make the list, right? Put the list together. A couple years ago,
I like that idea so much of like taking the content that you make and not just posting it on social media and hoping that it gets seen and sitting there and hoping that your metrics climb up, but actually taking that link and texting it. The open rates on text. I mean, everybody looks at their texts. Everybody.
Yep.
You don't leave your text unread. Nobody leaves their text unread.
No. A couple years ago, and this comes from giftology, but a couple years ago, I personally built 21 cornhole board games, 21 sets. So that's 42 boards. And I bought, now this is putting money into this. So there's some money involved in this, but I called my sign guy. I said, I need logos and I did this for Sherwin-Williams. I did this for our, 4 realtor companies, different people. And I put their logo on the board. I bought bags. I took them to their office. I scheduled lunch with their team. Some of them came to our office, and then I gifted them to them. What a memorable thing where I'm showing honor to their brand, not just to my brand. Hey, care about me. Think about heritage. Yay. No, I care about your brand and how you do. And so when people, they want to hear what you have to say if they know you care. So it starts with that. One last other idea.
Yeah, what else we got?
In 2017, we joined a local home service vendor realtor group. So FC Tucker in our area, they joined. And so I called, I said, hey, do you have a list of these realtors? And they're like, no, we don't. It's all online, but we don't have lists. So Sweat Equity went in, made a database of all the realtors. There's like 1,200 of them. And we just started pushing and just call. And now I had a staff member do this. She called anywhere from 20 to 80 a day, and just, hey, we're here we just joined. And the first thing is, hey, we just joined. We just want to let you know. I don't have anything for you. I just want to let you know we're here. And then, oh, really? Oh, cool. And then the thing that I teach our team all the time is send your contact card. Build out your contact card, however you want it. All the YouTube channels, Facebook, all these links in there. Maybe your favorite video link that's on YouTube, your email, yourself, however, all that. Put a picture in there. You got to have a picture, right? And now technology is helping us more today than it did then. But so, send that contact card to them and ask them to save it. And then you're top of mind in their phone. And when they go to search, I don't know if we went over this or not, but when they go to search, then they're going to forget Jason. They're going to forget Humrichous and Heritage, but they'll remember paint because that's their problem. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's really smart. And in fact, the at the Craftsman Painter Collective, one of the things that we give our members is one of these digital contact cards like you're talking about. And one of the primary buttons is add to contacts. Because, that getting in their contacts, like you said, and making sure that your contact card is actually fleshed out, making sure that it has a good picture. It has, like you said, you got to have your name, your company, but also what you do.
Yep.
Making it searchable within their contacts, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Nobody's thinking about that, Jason.
Well,
Nobody.
it's just, and those are simple things, right? And then I put every client that I'm working with in my phone because when they call me, I want to be able to call them by their first name. The most important thing to a person is their name.
The name of their voice.
Their name. Like, hey, Bob. I mean, I'm getting older. The older I get, the harder it is to remember things. And so I remember my dad taking a 3x5 card and writing people's names down on 3x5 card and then just rehearsing it. And that's a very practical thing. I mean, it's worth doing because people want to know that you care about them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason, you've got this lofty goal. I think you're gonna hit. You said you're only $30,000 behind.
So it's,
of course, we're 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's $50,000 a week. Now, obviously, we know painting for Indiana goes like this, right? It's a bell curve, and so it's.
And you're at this home show. That's going to drum up a bunch of leads. You'll be there for 10 days.
Yep.
So what's your plan? What are you doing this year? How are you going to achieve this?
Whew. I mean, there's a book that I have not read. It's What Got You Here Will Not Get You There. Something that you know what I'm talking about. Have you read it? So
I know that that's talked about. I believe it's talked about in Good to Great as well. It might be kind of a spin-off, but yeah.
So
I know what you're talking about.
I'm going to just do a lot of the same things I've done for years, and really it's re-engaging with people. It's being top of mind of that top tier client list that I'm building. In the past, I would pass those leads that they'd come to me, and now this is an internal struggle. You have to know because I just finished the book a couple months ago on who, not how. So I have who's around me, but part of it is as I think about my role in the company and just kind of pushing myself to be a better version of me. It's like, okay, I'm going to put myself in this seat and in a sales seat in a business, really push hard and see what can come of it. So I don't know that I have anything more than what I've already said that I'm going to do differently, but I'm just going to continue to be faithful to it. So, and that's the thing is, I love the thing that separates people is people who just do it. Nike was successful in that. My son who is faithful to weightlifting, he gets up and he goes at 5 a.m. to the gym and he does it. And he doesn't just talk about it, or he goes and shoots baskets or whatever it is. If he's wanting to focus on his craft. So you just have to get out and do it and face your fears.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Jason, one of the things that I have appreciated about you as we become acquainted over the last, year and a half or so, is that you are a business owner. You're not one of those business owners that is figuring out whatever way possible to essentially run away from their business and be able to go vacation, 300 days out of the year. You're engaged in every aspect, not because you have to be or because you, are like need to be in control in that way. You do it because you are looking for fulfillment in your business, and I really appreciate that about you. And
Yeah, appreciate that.
I think where that comes from is because you're balanced in other aspects of your life,
Yeah,
and that's present in your ability to go see your son play basketball, at in college, and to devote yourself in the way that you do. I recognize that in you, and I look up to it, to be honest with you.
appreciate that.
All right. Well, that is okay. Last words of
Yeah.
advice. Okay. If if our listeners follow through with the business development plan, what does their life look like?
Mm. Just keep. I mean, the app Be Real, the Be Real app. Just engage. No, I'm not saying engage with that app necessarily, but think about that app and think about how that is. Just be real with your people. Share. Use all the free things. It's going to take equity. It's going to take sweat equity, and so your life is. And so you say, I look up to you because you have balance. Well, thank you. I will say I do know when to shut off, and I do know that some of it is all vanity. It's like vanity. It's when I say vanity, I mean I'm going to put a lot of work into it. It's going to generate. I know that it will, and it's going to provide for today. But it all passes away. And the birds, money has wings. So, but and we, but it's I want, and it comes down to who are you, and I'm getting off track here, but my core value is to do things. One of our core values for the company is to do things with excellence. I want to do things with excellence. And so I want to take care of people in a way that they would want to be taken care of. So I love doing that. For them, they've got to figure out who they are. And maybe it's, there are companies that hire a person to just do the business development. That's great. And if you're a person that's like, I really just want to spend dollars on marketing, good luck. That's okay. I don't want to throw stones. And I would really watch closely. It does take experimenting. I would really watch your numbers closely so that you stay in budget. Because you don't really want to do this for practice. And so if you're not willing to if you're afraid of business development or you don't want to spend the time doing that, I think you'll probably tap out at some level. And because at some level you are the brand. I mean, we just did a brand refresh. You can see in the background, and our old logoing is, right here on my jacket. But, so it's not as easy to read as what this is. Colors are great and all of that. But at the end of the day, you're still the brand, and people are going to think about you as much as they're going to think about that. Um, so, yeah, watch your numbers, be faithful to your numbers because you want to walk home with money.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just, hey, I got a bunch of friends and I got no money. So.
All right, Jason, thank you so much for being on the
It's a
show.
joy. Thank you, Torlando.
Well, there we have it, Zach. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
Yeah.
Great advice. People should listen, tune in. That's what it is.
Exactly.
That's what it is. That's what this is all for.
I've always liked Jason quite a bit. He's very authentic. He is who he is. I appreciate about that. He's nice. He's kind, and it's no question as to why he is able to captivate people and to get people to buy from him because you just trust him, right? I don't think that our listeners are there. I don't think that he's special, but he's not unique. All right, so like
Elaborate.
okay, yeah. So being special but not unique, it's his level of kindness, his level of ability to engage in people. That's not limited to him, right? other people can do that. Like everything that he talked about, other people can do. But I think it does take a little bit of a special character to, like he said, just get out there and do it. You know, to have the discipline, to overcome your fears, to, you know, smile in the mirror and do stretches and say, okay, I'm going to get out there and do it. You know,
And do my smile stretches before I make my call. All of that.
right, yeah, yeah, exactly. So special but not unique. And so, you know, I think that these are things that our listeners could implement today. You know,
Absolutely.
there, yeah.
I don't think that there was anything that he spoke on that wasn't like beneficial in some way to somebody who's just trying to develop their business, period.
Yeah.
Especially whenever I heard him talking about building and donating 40 different
cornhole
boards.
Right.
Yeah, and it was just as a gift with people's logos and stuff. And I'm like, that he's absolutely right. Like if I was given that with my logo on it, I would completely remember you.
Right. Angie would you pull those bad boys out.
Yeah,
You know?
and you have a story behind it too.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's just like he is this person that's creating these moments.
Right.
He's creating these connections, and it's organic.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you're trying to do organic growth on social media, whenever instead of trying to sell stuff or make ads or anything, he's just like, hey, how's it going? Here's something for you.
Yeah.
I like you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, the difference between getting shooed and, you know, like I have sometimes, not all the time. I mean, most of the time people are fine, you know.
Yeah.
But every now and then it's like, oh, I think the difference is if I'm getting shooed away, it's because that person senses that I'm trying to take from them. Like they sense that I'm looking at them as the resource rather than I am focused on becoming a resource.
Yeah, what can you do for me, not what can I do for you? Kind
Right.
of feeling.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, after, you know, 5, 6, 7 businesses, you go in and out, you know, not everyone are you going to be so focused on like, how can I give to these people? You're going to forget, you're going to be thinking about, gosh, I just wish one of these people would say, oh, I need that today.
Absolutely.
It's hard to have that patience. But yeah, the genuineness of this conversation really stood out to me in a way of like, okay, I really need to be thinking about how can I be a participant in my community? How can I provide value to my community? How can I be a resource to my community? And I don't think that you can do that purely, you know, by sitting behind a computer all day.
I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that was really neat was whenever he was actually talking about how he... I straight up lost my train of thought. I apologize. Never mind.
It's all good.
If it comes back to me, I'll mention it. But I've never met him before. Mm-hmm. This is my first interaction with him. But he does... Oh, I remember what I was trying to say. He was giving information that made me reflect on my own shortcomings as a business. And like when I did have those moments and when I did fail, to show the value that I'm giving back.
Right.
And I think that was invaluable because I just today had some realizations of, oh yeah, no, there are different ways that I could have approached that where I probably could have got that sale.
Right.
And it wasn't because I was doing a bad job. It was just because I wasn't connecting with them enough to let them know what they could get.
Right. Exactly. Awesome. Great conversation. So glad that Jason came on. All right, that's our show, folks. We're wrapped up. Great show. Thank you to Zach, our producer, Hyperfocus Arts. You know, of course, I'm Torlando. Check out the collective, Craftsman Painter Collective. If you are looking for a painter or you are a painter and you want to become part of a community and a tribe of people that is helping each other, we are resources to each other. Go to craftsmanpainter.com/collective. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, this has been Torlando on Business.